Well, Lance, it's good to see you today. Thank you for spending some time with me. I I want the listeners to know a little bit about you. And so would you please tell us a brief description of your background so that the listeners can know more about you?
Keyword is brief, right?
Sure.
So, yes, my name is Lance Allred, and I'm a recently retired professional basketball player. I was the first legally deaf player in the NBA, and I was born and raised in a polygamous commune in rural Montana. And on top of all that, when we broke away from polygamy, I started to manifest obsessive compulsive disorder, which I kept hidden through basketball, which I started playing when we broke away at the age of 13. And so it's a wacky story. It's a crazy story. And I've had two books published, and my latest one recently just went to #1 on Amazon. So it's been a great transition for me, leaving the professional sports world and now coming into motivational speaking.
Awesome. Now, you hired me and my team to help make you a best-selling author, and you already had the book written,
Mhm.
which isn't mandatory because we can even do this for people who haven't written one or don't have time to do it.
Right.
But you had one already written and it was on Amazon.com, and you needed help becoming a best-selling author. So that said, what were the results, first of all, that my team and I got for you?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was going to be a lot more complicated than what you guys did. I really thought it was going to be a huge, long 4-month process of marketing and pushing and everything. And I had done a very mild release with my second book back in 2011, Basketball Gods. And I just kind of left it out there thinking, if it's going to do well, it's going to do well. Let the powers that be take care of it. But as I've gone into the speaking world, I've learned that it's not the most altruistic profession that I thought it would be. And that, there's a lot of ego and there's a lot of things that you still have to do. And there's a game that has to be played within the game still, just like in professional sports. And so with that, I realized, you know what? I need some help, because as much as my ego likes the moniker of having best-selling author attached to it, I understand too that still, to the lay person out there, when they hear best-selling author, it perpetuates itself. And you guys stepped in, and it was I can't believe how fast all of a sudden I'm #1 in 3 categories, and I just got my award in the mail.
Oh, wow.
Best
Let's see.
author in 3 different categories from Amazon.com. If you can read that, I'll try to give you some context. But I opened it up and I actually got emotional, because it's nice that my book is being read. And that's why we write. Some people write and do all this speaking to make money. I do all this to connect, and you guys help me do that. So it's really incredible.
Well, Lance, you've already got celebrity, like you said, because you're well-known, professional basketball player, and people could hire you just by, knowing that already. So why did you see the importance of having a bestseller and being a best-selling author besides that? What do you see it doing for you?
Oh, there's a few things. That's a great question. So today, I just got back from speaking at a high school with 1,000 kids. And, obviously they want me to come in and motivate people and give them inspiration to go and do the things they want to do and learn how to set goals and everything. But at the same time, there are so many kids out there that say, oh, I'm just going to be a professional athlete. And they throw all the eggs into one basket, and they don't learn how to become more dynamic and hone crafts in other areas. And so now for me going to schools, all the administrators are very excited about me to say, hey, this is a professional athlete, but also a best-selling author. And it goes to show, okay, he's not just a one-trick pony. And so I'm there now to be able to show these kids, yes, you can be a great athlete, but you can also be an academic scholar at the same time. And that is something that helps me as an athlete get into that world of schools and reaching to teens. Because if I'm just an athlete, everyone is kind of like, that's good, that's nice and everything. But then going to the corporate as well, the corporate world loves these books, these self-help books that give you all these simple, easy lists on how to be a leader or a team builder or anything. But still, at the end of the day, when people walk through Barnes and Noble, they say, oh, bestseller, it must be a good book, I got to read it. Whereas you and I know, or most well-read people know, bestseller doesn't automatically mean it's a very good book. Like 50 Shades of Grey is not a good book. It's not. I'm sorry. The syntax and the grammar, it's just like, okay, it's not very creative for me.
Uh-huh.
And I hate to sound snobby, but I think some people will agree with me. And so, but sometimes people do kind of have bestseller or book cover snobbishness, snobbery, that they say, oh, you judge a book by its cover. And that extends to the bestseller moniker as well. And so it just helps give me a degree of depth, I guess, as an athlete. When I could say before, yeah, I was a published author with HarperCollins, but then again, most people will say they want the bestseller. And so when I've gone around and looked at other job opportunities, they only want a best-selling author. And so it's kind of like, wow, that's kind of elitist, but if that's the way the game is, then fine, I got to do it.
That's a great point. Now, your other publisher, did they help you become a best-selling author?
No, actually. What really happened was they signed up a couple of book events for me to go, but then I had to schedule all of my own events. I had to pay for my book tour around the country.
All right.
And they released my Kindle book at a pretty high price, actually, for it not being printed. And they stuck it strictly into the sports section. And yes, my background is sports, but as you get to know me and read more about me, it's really not just sports. Like most people want just nonfiction, this or that, and it's written by a ghostwriter most of the time, but I've written my own material. And it's more than that. And HarperCollins, their whole marketing platform really for me was when they signed me, I was in the NBA with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they thought when my book came out, I would still be there. But the economy hit in 2008, 2009, and then teams started dropping the 14th and 15th man to keep money open because they were worried about the salary cap. And so I wasn't there anymore. Their whole platform was to plug into the NBA machine and have it sell through there.
All right.
And so it was very disenchanting, to say the least, my first major publisher.
And we didn't need the NBA machine.
We did not. We did not actually. It was important to learn that because the NBA machine is one of the most well-oiled marketing machines in the entire world.
It is, and
we still were able to do our own way and do it with some, I don't know, just some substance, I guess. And it wasn't just a book that people bought to put on a shelf with their other Phil Jackson or motivational coaching books. The way we did it, we actually got some heart behind it, and people are actually reading it, and it's great.
Okay. Now, we're going to do a press release on this. In fact, it's in the works, and we've talked about this. And the press release will be about you being a best-selling author. So it'll be syndicated to major media like ABC, NBC, CBS, etc. And that'll end up on major websites on the internet, which, of course, is a great way when people are researching you, they'll be able to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And that said, how important is that to your cause? And how important is that to what you're doing?
Oh, it's still, we can say, is such a word of mouth world. But at the same time, when people have known me in that I've been on all those major media outlets just with my story getting called up to the NBA, and then the book coming out, but then it just helps me stay relevant, I guess, in that if you're always constantly reminding people, this is Lance, it gives you visibility and they see where I'm going. And people eventually, if they see me enough, they're going to be familiar enough with me. They say, oh, we need a speaker, or there's a book I've been wanting to read. Okay, let's go get Lance's. And that it is important for me. And as we know, the word relevant, I don't like that word, but it really is true. You have to always be adapting and growing and maturing. And what this does as a press release, it says, okay, Lance is getting better and better. He's growing up. And that's very important that continues to create awareness for who I am, what I'm doing, and what I'm evolving into.
Now, other people who haven't been on seen in major media like you have been, that would be an important thing for them, wouldn't you say, for
Oh
position?
yeah, no doubt. It's there's still a level of respect that people have towards people on television, and not just anyone gets on television. And so if you can do it, well, I don't want to say not just anyone, because we do have reality TV like the Kardashians, which really isn't. Um, but to actually get on the television, whether it's via their website or actual coverage on the news channel, it's the fact that you're then creating some positive effects in your community, whether it's local or national, and then it begins to connect. And I think that anyone who really wants to reach a large audience has to have that, because really the way the game is being played now, I learned when I transitioned to keynote speaking. I did a lot of work plugging into all of my old resources, and it got me up to where if it was 2000, the year 2000, I would have been just fine. But these last 15 years of the digital internet age, the game has changed dramatically. And so there are people like Brian Tracy or all these other amazing sellers on stage. They have these things like these packages and workshops that they're plugged into the internet, and all these downloadable kits, and you always have to be selling something on stage, and they're on these YouTube channels. There is so much more work that has to be done, that for people coming into the business, these are guys that are now have extended their life from the 1990s to now, that they have such a stranglehold on it that really to come in as an unknown without much visibility is very hard. And even me with my story, it opens up a lot of doors, but there's still such a hierarchy, I learned, in that there's still I don't know, kind of like an unspoken rite of passage, I guess, that people are expected to go through in the speaking world, that you have to do this and you have to do this, where I'm kind of coming in and T-boning it. And some people admire it, and I'm actually getting some people that aren't too happy with how quickly I've come in and kind of done the game by my own rules without having to pay my dues like everyone else did. Because I tell them, yeah, I was playing professional basketball for 10 years around the world, gaining real life experience, but it was still the corporate world.
Sure.
And so I'm now just transitioning into here, but with that visibility, even me, I still need that help. So I think anyone who wants to get into the game, any press is good press. That's what I have to tell them.
Absolutely. What would you estimate is the value of being positioned as a best-selling author?
Man, how do you quantify something like that?
Right.
I mean, yeah, if you're all about making money and selling the book and everything, sure, you can talk about millions of dollars. But for me, just the doors that it opens up, especially to go to the schools and talk to the kids as a best-selling author, and the level of respect and excitement that I get from the teachers and the administrators who want to come hear me talk as well. That's why I do it. I get to connect with people, and you can't put a price on that.
True.
And the fact that bestseller label now being applied to what I do, it just gives me a golden ticket, really, to get into any door that I want to get to, whether it's high school or university level. And I get to now be engaged with amazing conversations with people of like-minded frequency. Mm-hmm. And I can't put a value price on that, man. Sure, I know monetarily it's going to help me out in exponentially compared to what basketball ever did for me. But just the reward of being able to connect with fabulous people and reach out with teenagers and help them and give them some advice that I wish I had when I was their age. Right. That's going to pay it back and pay it forward, however you want to phrase it, in so many ways that really money can't buy.
What opportunities do you think you would lose out on if you weren't a best-selling author?
I would be pigeonholed.
Would you?
I would be pigeonholed as an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
mean,
true.
some people some people do well with that. Like they're just athlete. That's their whole shtick and spiel, and they just kind of focus on all the athletic metaphors going into corporate settings or business settings. But with me, it allows me to continue to be a jack of all trades, because if you saw me play basketball, I was great at nothing but good at everything. And that's how I survived as long as I did, because whatever the game in that moment called for, I could adapt and I could adjust.
Right.
And so you can never really put me inside of a box. Whereas sometimes, yeah, it did cause me to lose out on some jobs, no doubt, because the coach thinks he wants this specific need filled. And so I wouldn't get the job. And so, yes, there will be some jobs that I don't get in the speaking world because I don't fit that like specific thing. But my story is so across the board, whether it's mental health, emotional maturity, spiritual or religious abuse, or overcoming that, or hearing loss, or obsessive compulsive disorder, or perseverance through basketball. Again, I'm a Swiss Army knife. And that book gives more, I guess, just more credibility to the story, and it supports it. It gives, okay, this guy is the real deal. He's not just some athlete walking around. His story is amazing, but he's a best-selling author. And so he knows what he's doing, and he knows what he's talking about. It just gives me the credibility I need to escape the process that we tend to, as the corporate world, wherever, to pigeonhole people. And that allows me to be free, autonomous, I guess. And that I get to now, with this bestseller behind me, I get to, maybe I want to go down this path for a while, or down this path for a while. I don't have to always stay in the sports world. And it gives me a great amount of freedom, I guess is the best way to put it.
You know, I like to tell people, if you were going to a tax seminar to learn how to save taxes and not get in trouble with the IRS, and there were 5 speakers you were going to see, and one of them was a bestseller and the others weren't, who would you pay attention to?
Sad to say, that's just the way it is.
It is. It is. Now, let me ask you one more question. Obviously, you're a speaker, and when someone hires you to speak, and it was being a best-selling author that perhaps pushed them over the top to pick you, what was the decision to become a best-selling author worth to you, do you think? What is the value of having a prospect choose you with that?
No, just the value monetarily, I know is going to make me very successful, more than what basketball ever gave me. I just know it is. I just feel it. And there's just so much timing in the last 5 months since my retirement that's coming my way that really just like, wow, all I can do sometimes is like sit back and just go with it.
That's awesome.
But just the worth of it, that I actually get to be taken seriously, but also it's just that I get to be welcomed into a sphere of influence that I've wanted to be a part of for a long time, that as a basketball player, as an athlete, as a gladiator, we were never going to be welcomed up into the echelon seats with the emperor. But now, as a best-selling author, I get to go into those seats and mingle with like-minded and successful people. And it opens up many avenues and doors of networking and connections and relationships, right, whether we ever do business together. But the fact that I have that, people then see that, you know, this is a man of substance. And he's not just a charlatan on the stage, not walking the walk. Because, you know, we've all heard public speakers on stage and we think, yeah, this guy's talking from up here, but he's not talking from here, from the heart. And I'm not going to remember anything he says. But with the substance of the bestseller behind it and my story combined, it's a powerful 1-2 punch. And it just, again, it's the golden ticket to wherever I want to go.
Well, like you say, it's not just about money. It's about um,
Connecting.
positioning, being recognized.
Absolutely.
About a
And
lot of things, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, money comes, money goes. We've all learned that the hard way. And
It
I
does.
tell people that, you talk about the US dollar bill, but actually relationships are the strongest currency in the world.
It is.
Now with the book helping me to give credence to my story and who I am as a person, it just, again, it allows me to find myself being invited to situations now, whether it's to speak or not, but just to be welcomed into some leagues to people that originally were thought that's a cute story. That's a nice little feel good story. But now I was like, no, this guy isn't going away. I heard about Lance Allred 8 years ago when he was called up to Cleveland, and here he is. He keeps coming back. He's a phoenix. You can't bury him.
There you go.
And it's important. That's what I felt like when I got this plaque and I saw a bestseller on Amazon.com as well. It's like, I'm a phoenix, just rising and growing and always looking for more. And, I've done a lot of growth in the public eye, continually challenging paradigms and thought patterns and evolving into a man. And from the stunted development I had from a polygamous background, of course, it took me a few more years to figure all those things out. And I've done that very vocally. And I hope that people can see through me on stage and all through the books now. It's a bestseller. I can kind of show them how I did it and how my life has just changed in amazing ways. And whoever would have guessed this is where I would be.
Would you show us that award one more time? That's a beautiful one.
And I'll try to give some context if I can. Is there? Yeah. So Amazon.com, best-selling author in 3 categories, Lance Allred 2015.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a beautiful award.
It's very exciting. I'm very excited about it. And, because I don't have many trophies. Through my career, I never got a lot of trophies. I never got MVP. I never got this or that. But I always just a guy that was always working and plugging away. My only trophy I have is a horse trophy. I won the horse championship in NBA All-Star Weekend in New Orleans.
What was the horse one?
The horse one is, what was that?
What's the horse trophy? What is that about?
Where is it? That is way downstairs. I don't think I have time to grab that one.
Oh, okay.
But, so it's just nice because I don't like to think I'm a man of ego needing validation, but it's nice to have something you look at. You say, you know what? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because, we're so forward driven. And someone like me, I hate plateauing. I always have to be working towards something that I don't take enough time to sit back and say, wow, I actually did that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I tend to debase myself and say, it was really not all it's cracked up to be because, we're taught to be humble and everything. But then you have these plaques around and you say, you know what? No, I actually did it. And this achievement award, it's not subjective. It's not because people took a vote and said I was awesome. It's just hard fact.
Definitely.
What I did. And it's cool in that you can't really debate it. You can't say, oh, he got that award by a couple votes or whatever. It is what it is. And
yeah, it is.
It's etched in stone.
Well, by golly, you deserved it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.